Hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive. Today we're taking a close look at the Scrum Master
Okay.
within the Scaled Agile Framework.
All right.
SAFe, as it's better known.
Right. Yeah.
We'll be drawing from the SAFe Advanced Scrum Master Training Guide. It's for
Excellent.
all of you out there leading Agile teams,
Mhm.
especially in those larger companies.
Yeah,
This is going to be a must listen.
for sure.
One thing that really stands out about SAFe
Okay.
is how it tackles those head-on challenges
Oh, yeah.
that Scrum Masters face
Yeah.
in bigger organizations.
Absolutely.
You know, like
Yeah.
getting all those teams on the same page,
It's a challenge for sure.
managing dependencies,
Ah.
keeping everything aligned.
Oh, yeah. It can be a bit of a juggling act.
It's almost like herding cats sometimes, right?
Uh-huh. You can say that again?
So SAFe brings some unique approaches
Right.
to help manage this complexity.
Okay.
We're going to explore how things like uncommitted objectives
Interesting.
can actually make complex projects
Mm-hmm.
more predictable.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear more about that.
And we'll uncover how those key concepts,
Okay.
built-in quality, and that architectural runway
Right.
help to keep everything moving smoothly.
They fit at scale.
Exactly. Even when you're scaling things up.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
But, you know, I don't want to just skim the surface here.
No, let's dive in.
Let's really unpack these ideas.
Absolutely.
I think it would be great to bring in our expert
Okay.
to break it all down for us
Sounds good.
and help us connect the dots
I'm ready.
in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect.
You know, it's funny. When people hear safe,
Okay.
they often think, oh, it's just another agile buzzword.
Right.
But what's really fascinating about it is
Yeah.
that it's about getting those large teams to work together effectively.
Right. To deliver those projects.
Exactly. And the best part,
Okay.
there's proof it actually works.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We have studies that show SAFe can lead to
Okay.
happier employees,
Mhm.
higher productivity,
Oh.
faster delivery times,
That's impressive.
and even fewer defects.
Oh, wow. I mean, who wouldn't want that, right?
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Good.
But the guide talks about 7 core competencies in SAFe.
Mm-hmm.
Could you break down how those connect
Of course.
with what a Scrum Master actually does?
Absolutely. So think of these competencies
Okay.
as the foundation of SAFe.
Okay.
The Scrum Master's role really touches on a lot of them,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to communication,
Right.
collaboration, and
Yeah.
solving problems.
I see.
To get all those teams working together, you need someone
Yeah,
to facilitate communication,
that's true.
smooth out those collaboration hiccups,
Right.
and help them navigate the roadblocks.
Yeah, those inevitable roadblocks.
Exactly. And that's where a good Scrum Master can really shine.
So are they like the glue that holds it all together?
That's a great way to put it.
I like that analogy.
And what fuels this entire engine
Okay.
are the 10 Lean-Agile principles that underpin SAFe.
Right, those principles.
Exactly. These principles guide everything
Sure.
from decision-making to how the team works together.
I get it, but honestly,
Yeah,
sometimes those principles feel a bit theoretical to me,
I understand that.
you know?
Yeah,
Not very practical.
I get it, but they're actually way more practical
Okay.
than they might seem at first. Let's take an economic view principle.
Okay.
As an example, it might sound a little dry,
Right.
but this is where things get interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
The training guide shares some really eye-opening examples
Oh, really?
of how seemingly small decisions,
Okay.
like say postponing fixing a defect
Right.
or not focusing on test automation,
Right.
can end up costing a company a ton of money down the line.
So it's like those choices snowball
Exactly.
into bigger problems.
Yeah. It's about thinking beyond just the immediate sprint.
Right, you're thinking long term.
Exactly. And understanding the long-term impact of your choices.
Okay. That makes sense.
Good.
And that leads us to the next principle, right?
Yes, it does.
Apply systems thinking.
That's the one.
You know,
Yeah.
a Scrum Master who understands the entire value stream
Mm.
from that initial idea to actually delivering the product
Exactly.
can spot those bottlenecks right away
A mile away.
and then figure out how to eliminate them.
Exactly, which speeds things up significantly.
Right?
The guide actually has this great case study
Oh, really?
where a story that initially took 3 iterations
Oh,
was completed in just 5 days
that's amazing.
after they applied systems thinking.
That's a huge improvement.
It is.
What about embrace variability?
Okay.
Doesn't that just mean expect the unexpected?
Oh.
I mean, that's a given in software development, right?
Sure, change is definitely a constant.
Yeah.
But embracing variability in SAFe goes beyond just expecting change.
Okay.
It's about building flexibility into your processes
Right.
and designs.
Got it.
The guide talks about set-based design, where you're exploring multiple design options at the same time.
Okay, so like different paths.
Exactly. Think of it like having several paths laid out,
Okay.
and then you choose the best one as you gather more information.
So instead of being locked into a rigid plan,
Exactly.
you're allowing room to adjust.
Right. You're allowing for those pivots and adjustments.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Good.
Now, what about fast learning cycles?
Okay.
This is all about adapting quickly, right?
Yes. Adapting quickly and learning from those experiences.
Learning from your mistakes.
Exactly. The idea is to create those feedback loops
Okay.
that help teams course correct and avoid those big surprises at the end.
So is it kind of like that saying fail, fast fail, often,
That's the spirit.
but in a way that actually helps you improve?
Exactly. SAFe uses this cycle called POCA.
POCA.
It stands for Plan, Do, Check, Adjust,
Okay.
and it happens at both the team and program level
Got it.
to make sure there's continuous learning and improvement.
So you're always evaluating, tweaking, refining as you go,
That's the idea.
rather than waiting till the end to figure out what went wrong.
Exactly. It's a much more proactive approach.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good.
Now, the next principle is base milestones on objective evaluation of working systems.
Right.
This one sounds like it really shakes things up.
It does. It throws those traditional phase gate milestones out the window.
Wait, so what's wrong with phase gate milestones?
Oh!
I always thought they were supposed to keep projects on track.
In theory, yes.
Oh, okay.
But in practice, they often lead to problems.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the guide points out that those rigid milestones,
Mm-hmm.
based on things like requirements complete or design complete,
Okay.
they can make it really expensive and time-consuming to make changes.
Because you're locked in.
Exactly. Remember, embracing variability is key.
It's like navigating with an outdated map.
Exactly.
You're going to get lost.
You are.
So safe milestones are tied to actual working systems.
That's right.
So you're tracking real progress.
Yes, and you can course correct much more effectively.
It's like having a live GPS
That's a great analogy.
instead of relying on that old paper map.
I like it.
All right, the next principle is visualize and limit WIP.
Okay,
So WIP stands for work in progress, right?
you got it.
And this is all about making sure
Yeah.
teams aren't juggling too many things at once.
Exactly. When you have too much WIP,
Okay.
it creates bottlenecks and slows everything down.
I could see how that would happen.
It's like trying to cram too many cars onto a highway.
Right, you get a traffic jam.
Exactly. Traffic jams are inevitable.
So SAFE emphasizes visualizing the work.
Uh-huh. On a Kanban board.
Right, and then setting limits.
Yes, limits on how much work can be in each stage.
So it's a balance between keeping people busy,
Right.
but also ensuring work moves through the system efficiently.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good.
So to maintain that flow, we need cadence and synchronization.
That's right.
So cadence brings predictability
Exactly.
by setting a steady rhythm,
Uh-huh.
so everyone knows what to expect and when.
It's like a heartbeat for the project.
Okay, I like
And
that.
synchronization.
Yeah.
Make sure all those teams are in sync with that heartbeat.
Makes sense.
Regular sync meetings and system demos help keep everyone aligned and moving in the same direction.
That's crucial.
It is.
Okay, now on to a principle that sounds a little more philosophical.
Right.
Unlock the intrinsic motivation of knowledge workers.
Right.
So how does that play out in a real-world setting?
Well, it's about recognizing that people do their best work
Okay,
when they feel valued, trusted, and empowered.
I can definitely see that.
The guide emphasizes that knowledge workers,
So those using their expertise to get things done
exactly, they often have a deeper understanding of their work.
than their managers.
Right. It's about tapping into that knowledge
Yeah, okay.
and creating an environment where people feel ownership
Right.
and can use their creativity to solve problems.
So trusting your team, giving them the freedom to make decisions.
Exactly. Micromanaging is a surefire way to kill motivation and innovation.
Absolutely.
Create an environment where people feel like their contributions matter
Yeah,
and they'll really rise to the occasion.
I love that approach.
It's a good one.
Give people trust and autonomy
Mm-hmm.
and watch them excel.
I agree.
What about decentralized decision-making?
Okay.
Does that mean letting teams make all the decisions?
Not necessarily all of them,
Okay.
but as many as possible.
I see.
The key here is pushing those decisions
Mhm.
to the level where the information is.
Right, where the people who know the most are.
Exactly. So instead of a manager making all the calls,
Right.
you empower those closest to the problem to find the solutions.
So cut through the bureaucracy, enable teams to move faster.
That's the idea. The guide actually quotes Don Reinertsen,
Oh, really?
who said, any inefficiency of decentralization costs less than the value of faster response time.
That's a good quote.
It is faster decisions mean faster progress.
Makes sense.
Good.
Okay.
Great.
Last but not least, we have organize around value.
Great.
Seems pretty straightforward.
It does.
Make sure everyone is focused on delivering value to the customer.
That's the essence of it.
Right.
But putting it into practice takes a bit of work.
I bet.
SAFe talks about aligning teams with specific value streams,
Okay.
which are basically all the steps to get that product to the customer.
Okay, so understanding the customer journey.
Yes, understanding the customer, their needs,
Right.
and then organizing your teams to optimize for delivering value quickly and efficiently.
So it's not just building a product,
Right,
it's
yeah.
building the right product in the right way.
Exactly. The training guide emphasizes
Okay.
that being able to respond to those changing customer needs is key for staying ahead.
Right, you got to be adaptable.
Absolutely.
This has been really helpful in understanding those foundational principles.
Good.
It sounds like a solid framework for scaling Agile.
It is.
But how does this actually play out in a real project?
Well, that's where PI planning comes in.
Okay, PI planning.
It's like the heartbeat of SAFe,
Right.
where all the teams come together.
To plan their work for the next program increment or PI?
PI planning sounds intense.
It is intense,
Tell me more.
but it's also incredibly energizing.
Okay. So how does it work?
It is intense, but it's also incredibly energizing. PI planning is a 2-day event,
Okay.
typically held every 8 to 12 weeks.
Right.
Everyone involved in delivering the project comes together.
So all the teams.
All the teams on the Agile release train,
Okay.
or RT as it's called, and SAFe.
RT. Got it.
Ideally, this is done in person,
Oh, wow.
to create that real buzz of collaboration.
Yeah, being in the same room.
Exactly. Makes a big difference.
So we're talking about a lot of people in one room.
We are.
What actually happens during those 2 days?
So it's a highly structured event,
Okay.
which is really important to keep things on track.
Right. With so many people involved?
Exactly. With so many moving parts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Day one starts with executive briefings
Okay.
to set the strategic context for the upcoming program increment.
All right. So the PI we're planning for. Exactly. It's like setting the overall direction.
Okay, so everyone's aligned on the big picture.
Right. Then product management presents their vision
Okay.
and the top features they want to deliver during the PI.
So you're getting everyone aligned on the why
Absolutely. The why behind the work.
before you dive into the how.
Exactly. And then the system architect takes the stage
Okay.
to talk about the architectural vision, any new architectural epics that need to be addressed,
Okay.
and any common frameworks that'll be used.
So that everyone's on the same page, technically?
Exactly. Getting this alignment up front
Right.
really helps avoid those integration headaches later on.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
So everyone's aligned strategically and architecturally.
Right.
What happens next?
Then comes the exciting part,
Okay.
the team breakouts.
Okay, the teams get to work.
Each team huddles together
Yeah.
to break down their features into user stories,
Okay.
estimate the effort involved,
Mhm.
and identify any risks or dependencies they might run into.
So it's a deep dive into the details.
It is.
But with all those teams planning simultaneously,
Yeah.
how do they make sure all those individual plans actually fit together?
That's where the Scrum of Scrums comes in.
Scrum of Scrums. Okay.
Every hour during those breakout sessions,
Okay.
the Scrum Masters from each team meet up
All right.
to discuss their progress, identify any roadblocks or dependencies, and figure out solutions together.
So it's like a mini sync meeting
It is a mini-sync meeting to keep the train running smoothly.
to keep everyone on track.
Exactly.
So it's proactive.
Very proactive.
Prevents those integration surprises down the line.
Exactly. We want to keep those wheels turning.
Oh. Okay. Makes sense.
So by the end of day one,
All right.
each team presents their draft plans,
Okay.
including any risks and impediments they've identified.
And the management reviews those plans.
They do, looking for any potential bottlenecks or resource conflicts.
They might adjust things.
They might adjust the scope or shuffle resources to optimize the plan.
Okay, so it's very collaborative.
Very collaborative between the teams and management,
Got it.
and to make sure everyone's speaking the same language.
Yeah, you need a common language.
SAFe uses normalized story point estimation.
Normalized story point estimation.
This ensures consistency across all the teams.
So you're comparing apples to apples.
Exactly when it comes to estimating effort.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's essential for accurate planning.
Right, having everyone on the same page with estimation.
Yes, it prevents a lot of miscommunication and headaches.
Okay, so day one is all about planning and aligning.
It is.
What about day two?
Day two is about finalizing those plans
Okay,
and getting that real commitment from the teams.
so making sure everyone's on board.
Exactly. They refine their plans, based on the feedback from day one.
Right.
And then the business owners,
Okay.
those key stakeholders come in to assign business value to the PI objectives.
PI objectives, those are the goals for the PI, right?
Exactly what each team aims to deliver during the program increment.
Got it. So they're prioritizing what's most important.
They are from a business perspective.
Okay, that makes sense.
And here's where SAFE introduces this really interesting concept.
Okay.
Uncommitted objectives.
Uncommitted objectives, what are those?
It's like building a buffer into your plan.
A buffer.
These objectives are planned and estimated,
Okay.
but they're not part of the team's official commitment.
So they're like stretch goals?
Not exactly.
No.
The guide stresses that uncommitted objectives aren't just extra items to tackle if you have spare time.
Okay.
They're strategically chosen items that could deliver big value if achieved,
Okay.
but they also carry a higher degree of uncertainty.
I see. So you're acknowledging that things might change.
Right.
And you need that flexibility.
You need that flexibility. It's like having a backup plan.
Right, without losing sight of your main goals.
Exactly. You nailed it.
Okay, I like that.
Now, once the teams have finalized their plans, they present them for a final review.
Okay.
And then comes a really critical moment,
Right.
the confidence vote.
A confidence vote, that sounds important.
It is each team uses a fist of 5 system to vote
Fist of 5, okay.
on how confident they are in achieving their objective.
So a closed fist means...
A closed fist means no confidence,
Okay.
and 5 fingers means very high confidence.
So it's not just about creating a plan.
Right.
It's about making sure everyone really believes they can deliver.
Exactly. It ensures that strong sense of ownership and accountability.
That makes sense if a team isn't confident.
Yeah.
They need to go back and rework their plan.
They do until they can reach a high level of commitment.
So PI planning fosters collaboration alignment
It does.
and a shared sense of responsibility.
Absolutely. It's not just about checking boxes.
Right.
It's about creating a shared understanding and commitment.
Yeah, you're all in it together.
We are, and to ensure the planning process itself is constantly evolving.
Okay.
The 2 days end with a retrospective.
A retrospective.
Teams discuss what went well, what could be improved,
Right.
and how to make the next PI planning even better.
So PI planning sets the stage for successful execution.
It does.
But what happens once the teams actually start working
Okay.
on those PI objectives?
That's when the Scrum Master's role really kicks into high gear.
Okay, so they're busy during PI execution.
They become the conductor, making sure that the train runs smoothly.
Right, keeping everything on track.
Exactly, and addressing any obstacles that pop up along the way.
So is it just about facilitating those regular Scrum events?
Well, those are definitely important.
Like daily stand-ups, sprint reviews?
Yes, but SAFE also introduces additional events and practices,
Okay.
specifically designed to maintain alignment and momentum
At the program level.
at the program level.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
One crucial event is the RT Sync meeting.
RT Sync.
It's a regular check-in, usually weekly,
Right.
where Scrum Masters from all the teams, along with other key members and subject matter experts,
Okay.
get together.
Right.
They discuss their progress, identify dependencies,
Okay.
and address any impediments that are slowing things down.
So it's like a scaled-up daily stand-up,
You could say that.
bringing together representatives from all the teams?
Exactly. It's about maintaining that big picture view
Right.
while addressing those finer details that impact the overall flow.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's also the PO Sync meeting,
Loosing.
where product owners, product managers, and other stakeholders
Right.
meet to discuss progress, clarify priorities, and make any scope adjustments.
So these sync meetings are really about preventing silos,
They are.
especially in those large organizations.
Exactly. Those silos can pop up so easily.
And then you have communication breakdowns.
Right, and things start falling through the cracks.
Okay, so you've got the RT sync, the PO sync.
Yes.
What else?
To make sure all the teams are truly building a cohesive system, SAFE emphasizes regular system demos,
Okay.
typically every 2 weeks. This is where they showcase the integrated solution.
Right, so not just individual components.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating how all the pieces fit together.
I see. So you're not just achieving individual goals.
Right.
You're making sure that collective effort is delivering a unified solution.
That's the key. And this is where that principle of built-in quality comes in.
Okay.
SAFE encourages teams to adopt practices like continuous integration and testing.
Okay.
So every increment of the solution reflects those quality standards.
So you're not waiting till the end.
Exactly.
to discover the pieces don't fit together.
You don't want to do that.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Now, you mentioned something earlier.
Yes.
The innovation and planning iteration.
The IP iteration.
What is that?
It's like a pause in the regular sprint cycle.
Okay.
Dedicated to looking ahead and experimenting.
So to break from the daily grind.
It is.
To focus on innovation and planning.
Exactly.
Sounds like a nice change of pace.
It is during the IP iteration. Teams can tackle those technical spikes or hackathons that often get pushed aside.
Yeah, when you're trying to deliver features.
Exactly. They can also refine the program backlog.
Okay.
And prepare for the next PI planning session.
So it's about taking a step back.
Yes.
To sharpen the saw.
I like that analogy.
So you can be more effective in the long run.
Exactly. By incorporating this dedicated IP iteration, SAFe ensures that innovation isn't an afterthought, but a core part of the development process.
That's a great approach.
It is.
It seems like SAFe has a lot of mechanisms in place.
It does.
To guide planning and execution.
Absolutely.
But what about actually releasing the product to the customer?
Great question.
Does SAFe offer any guidance on release management?
It absolutely does. SAFe is all about delivering value on demand.
Value on demand.
Which means being able to release frequently and with confidence.
Okay. How do they manage to do that in such a complex environment?
Well, one key practice is separating deployment from release.
Separating deployment from release.
Teams can deploy to production frequently, even daily.
Wow.
But the new functionality is hidden behind what are called feature toggles.
Feature toggles. I'm not familiar with that term.
So imagine them as switches in the code that allow you to turn features on or off without having to redeploy the entire application.
I see.
This means you can deploy new code to production without actually releasing the feature to users until it's fully ready.
It's like a safety net.
Exactly. You can test and validate the new functionality in the production environment.
Without impacting users.
Exactly. And when the feature is ready, you simply flip the switch.
I like that.
It provides a lot of flexibility and control.
Over the release process.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It seemed like a very elegant solution.
It is.
For managing releases in a complex system.
But I imagine releasing at scale can still be quite a challenge.
It can.
How does SAFe handle that complexity?
That's a good question.
So SAFe recognizes that different parts of a solution might require different release strategies. They use the concept of value streamlets.
Value streamlets,
to break down the solution into smaller, independently releasable components.
Okay, so like dividing a train into smaller carriages.
Exactly, each with its own schedule and destination.
So instead of one massive release, you can release these smaller components on their own cadence.
Exactly, delivering value to the customer more frequently.
This has been incredibly insightful.
Good, I'm glad.
We've covered so much ground.
We have.
From the core principles of SAFe to the intricate details of PI planning and release management.
That's a lot to cover.
It is, but it's clear that the Scrum Master plays a crucial role.
Absolutely a critical role.
In making it all work.
They're the glue that holds it all together.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper. Into the Scrum Master's role within SAFe. What are some of the unique challenges they face in this environment?
Well, one of the biggest is simply the scale and complexity, working within a large organization. Scrum Masters and SAFe often work with multiple teams, sometimes dozens, and they need to navigate all those relationships and dependencies.
I can imagine that gets complicated.
It does. It's like being an air traffic controller. Making sure all those planes land safely and on time.
So a lot of responsibility.
A lot of responsibility.
How do they keep track of everything?
Well, communication and collaboration are key.
Right.
The training guide really stresses building those relationships with the other Scrum Masters on the Agile release train.
So you have a network of Scrum Masters.
You do. They also need to connect with the release train engineer.
And the release train engineer is like?
They act as a chief Scrum Master.
For the whole train?
For the entire train. So it's like a Scrum Master support network, sharing information, identifying roadblocks, working together to clear the tracks.
So it's a collaborative ecosystem.
It is.
Where Scrum Masters can support each other.
Yes, and keep things moving.
And this network extends beyond just the Scrum Masters, right?
It does. It includes other key roles, the system architect, the system team operations,
Okay, so you're breaking down those silos.
You are.
Fostering that open communication.
That's essential.
Across the organization.
Absolutely. Another challenge for Scrum Masters in SAFe is helping teams adopt those engineering practices that are crucial for building in quality from the start.
Those are so important.
They are. We're talking about things like continuous integration, test-driven development refactoring.
Yeah, all those good practices.
All those essential practices for maintaining speed and agility at scale.
But I imagine some teams might resist.
They might, especially if they're used to a more traditional approach.
Right. They're used to waterfall.
Exactly. So how does a Scrum Master help them embrace these new ways of working?
That's a good question.
It comes down to coaching and education.
Okay.
The Scrum Master needs to guide the teams to understand the benefits of these practices.
Right.
And how they can actually make their lives easier.
Easier in the long run.
Exactly. Instead of dictating, it's about explaining and demonstrating the value.
Show them how it works.
Exactly. The guide suggests techniques like pair programming, code reviews, communities of practice.
Right.
To foster that learning and knowledge sharing.
So you're creating a culture of continuous learning.
Yes, a culture of continuous learning and improvement.
Where teams feel supported.
Yes, supported in adopting these new skills.
Okay, and it's not just about technical skills, is it?
It's not.
You also need those soft skills.
Those soft skills are essential.
Things like collaboration, communication, conflict resolution.
Those are crucial for any team.
Especially in a large-scale environment.
Absolutely.
Where you have so many people interacting.
Right. It can be challenging.
Especially with those diverse personalities and working styles.
How does a Scrum Master navigate all that?
That's a tough one.
That's where their coaching skills come in.
Okay.
A good Scrum Master can observe those team dynamics.
Right.
Identify areas for improvement. And facilitate those sometimes difficult conversations.
Right.
It's not about forcing solutions.
Okay.
It's about guiding the team to find their own answers.
So they come up with the solutions themselves.
Exactly. And build that strong, cohesive unit.
It's a subtle art.
It is.
Guiding without controlling, empowering without micromanaging.
Exactly. And one of the most crucial things a Scrum Master can do is build trust.
Trust is so important.
Within the team and with stakeholders.
Right.
Trust is the foundation of any successful agile endeavor.
So how does a Scrum Master cultivate that trust in SAFe work?
Well, transparency is key.
Transparency. Okay.
The Scrum Master needs to keep everyone in the loop about what's happening, both the good and the bad.
So be upfront about the challenges.
Yes, and celebrate the successes. It's about creating that open and honest communication environment.
Where everyone feels safe to contribute.
Exactly, where everyone feels safe to speak their mind and share their ideas.
It's about psychological safety?
It is.
So people feel comfortable taking risks?
Right, and sharing their perspectives without fear of judgment.
And that ties back to that principle.
It does.
Unlocking the intrinsic motivation.
Exactly.
Your knowledge workers.
When people feel trusted and respected, their engagement and commitment really skyrocket.
That makes sense.
It does.
It seems like the Scrum Master in SAFe has a really demanding role.
They do.
But also incredibly impactful.
They're not just managing a process.
Right.
You're shaping a culture.
It's a great way to put it.
By embracing those Lean-Agile principles, fostering a culture of collaboration, continuous improvement, built-in quality, they can empower organizations to achieve remarkable things.
That's inspiring.
It's about creating an environment where teams can thrive.
Yeah.
And innovation can flourish.
I love that. So for our listeners out there who are either Scrum Masters or aspiring to be one, what's the one key takeaway you want them to remember?
I think the most important thing to remember is that the Scrum Master's role is all about serving the team.
Okay.
Helping them unlock their full potential.
Right.
It's not about command and control.
It's about empowering.
It's about empowering, enabling, creating that space for teams to do their best work.
And then getting out of their way.
Exactly.
That's such a great point.
It is.
And I think that applies whether you're working in SAFe or any other Agile framework.
Absolutely. It's about being a servant leader, putting the needs of the team first, fostering a culture where everyone can thrive.
Now, before we wrap up,
I
want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
All right.
We talked about how SAFe uses uncommitted objectives to add flexibility and predictability to planning.
It's a great technique.
How could you apply this concept in your own work, even if you're not using SAFe?
Good question.
Could you create a buffer zone in your own plans to allow space for those unexpected twists and turns?
Because they always come up.
They always do. It's something to think about.
It is.
As you navigate those complexities of your own projects.
I like it.
And if you come up with any brilliant insights,
yes,
we'd love to hear about them.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Into the world of the Scrum Master and SAFe.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.
Sounds good.
For another insightful exploration